Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Oh, thank you very much. It's another great opportunity to continue the very glorious celebration of our teacher and astute researcher. So we had a very highly accomplishing, very rewarding AM session. So we are going to commence the PM session in a little while. We want to very specially recognize all the dignitaries already seated. We have dignitaries across several continents. We have Dr. Fallow from the FAO, I think. So you are most welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm from FAO indeed. Thank you.
Great pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
We are so honored to have you in our midst, sir.
Okay, my pleasure. Yeah.
We have our
pleasure.
colleague. Yes, thank you so much, Professor Fallow.
Yeah.
We have our
Welcome.
colleagues already in the audience. I'm going to mention some names at random. We have Professor Mojola, who is also going to honor us with a review of Professor Sonaiya's book. We have Professor very soon, Oluyinka Olukosi from the University of Georgia in Athens. Dr. Lukosi, you are most welcome. We have Professor
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We have Professor Ola in the house. We have Haladu Sadiq, Dr. Weto from FUNAB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We have the representative from the industry, Mr. Bayo Mojola. We are so honored to have you on this program. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Amen.
We have Dr. Dari all the way from, is it Savannah, Georgia, or Toulouse, or Atlanta, Georgia? Dr. Dari, you are most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Yes, sir.
We have Babatunde Elliott. Thank you very much. Adenike Adeyemi, my colleague, LOC member, thank you. We have Professor Okioma Abu. Thank you very much. Again, Dari, and as others join, we are going to mention their names. We have several tasks this afternoon to honor our teacher and our very, very well-known, globally recognized researcher, Professor Emmanuel Babafunsho Sonaiya. So we have a week-long activity, actually covering 2 weeks. Today is day 4 of week 2. So we are so honored to be part of this program. So the programs for today in a nutshell, we are going to jumpstart with scientific presentations. We have presentations from Prof's former students. They're all lined up from different parts of the world. So that will commence immediately after this background information. Following that, we're going to have a formal presentation of the compendium of the celebrant's publications. The celebrant is going to do that himself. He's going to navigate us through the whole archive of his publications. And nobody can do that better than him. Okay, immediately after that, we're going to have double reviews. This was specially designed to cover 2 aspects or 2 dimensions. The first is the academia, and the second is the industry. So the reason for this is that the book covers 2 critical sectors, the academia as well as the industry. So after the book review, we're going to have the formal presentation of the book by the librarian of the Obafemi Awolowo University. That is Dr. Zacchaeus Oguntuwashi. We'll do the book presentation, and then we'll begin to wind up after that. So we welcome all of us again. Is Dr. Odedire in the house? My colleague, Dr. Odedire. Okay. We have more personalities here. We have Victor Rixley from Washington State. Victor, you are welcome. Victor Rixley.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again, sir.
Oh, good to see you too. Thank you for honoring your former supervisor and teacher. God
It's a
bless
pleasure.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have Femi Oguntua. She was in the morning session. We have an elder brother here, Dr. Victor Olori from Scotland. We have Dr. Tayo Adedokun. Tayo, say hello to the house.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon from your end or from our end?
From your head, thanks.
Thank you. Tayo is actually connecting from Kentucky State University?
University of Kentucky, Lexington.
University of Kentucky. Thank you very much. We have our mothers and fathers in the house. We have Professor Odeyinka in the house. Prof, say hello to the whole house. Hello, ma'am. Professor Odeyinka.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We have my head of department, Professor Emmanuel Uluropo Akinfala, HOD, sir. HOD Animal Sciences. Anyway, we are going to accommodate others as they come. Is the Dean in the house yet? Dean of Agriculture, Professor Adekunle. Okay, not yet. He will join us. So the Dean will join us, okay? So we are going to jumpstart with the very first presentation. We have the one from Dr. Tayo Adedokun. So Tosin, please jumpstart his presentation, please. Okay, the audio.
Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. Delighted to be part of this program and I thank the organizer for inviting me to give this talk. But the title of my presentation is Between Profit, Meat Production and the Environment. And I believe each of the three parts of this topic is essential to sustainable poultry production, not just only in Nigeria, but around the world. Let me intimate you first with the area of my research interest. Most of what I do is in the area of nutrition and metabolism, with particular focus on protein and amino acid metabolism. In addition to this, I do research in the area of energy, minerals, gut health, and lipids. Lipids is an area of research that I recently started working on. I think it will be important to share some of this data that I got from FAO website about Nigeria. The first one, which is the top left-hand corner, shows the prevalence of severe food insecurity in the total population of Nigeria. And this is interesting because we will note that from 2014 to 2019, there is a linear increase in the proportion of Nigerian population that are suffering from severe food insecurity. Actually, the percentage rose from about 6 to about 9% over this 6-year period. And on the top to the right is the average supply of protein of animal origin, which is in grams per capita per day, with 3-year averages being presented. It is also interesting to note that despite the fact that the average protein intake per capita increased from about 2012 up to kept increasing until 2012, 2013 when it reached the peak. And then immediately after 2013, there was a sharp decrease in protein consumption in grams per capita per day. It actually went from about 7.5 grams up to about 9 9.8 grams, and then it dropped back to about 7 grams, which is even less than what it was about 20 years ago. The third slide is the population of Nigeria, how it keeps increasing from about in the 70s up to 2020. And the population has been forecasted to keep increasing, at least when it slow down. And finally, the last slide on the bottom row to your right shows the forecast of our population by continent up till 2100. So it's been forecasted that almost every other continent will either experience a slight decrease in population growth or a very marginal increase in population growth, except Africa, whose population is going to more than triple between 2019 and 2100. Again, this has both the advantages and disadvantages. I mean, everything that I've shown on this slide. Essentially, one of the advantages is that means there's a lot of opportunity for people that are interested in poultry production. Nutritionists, for instance, because there's the need for more animal protein to be able to make sure that people are taken out of poverty, employment, to make sure that people have enough or adequate level of protein, animal protein in their diet, which addresses the question with the second slide. And then finally, the other question we need to ask ourselves is that as the population grows, the per capita income increases, and people are able to afford this meat. More chickens will be produced, more feed will be needed to feed, to produce to feed the chicken, and more excreta and nutrients to be excreted into the environment. The question is, where do we go from here, or how do we address this challenge? So that is why I selected the topic on sustainability and amino acid. Amino acid and the environment, they have this interaction with regards to policy making and so on and so forth. But the first thing is that amino acid is the second most expensive component of the diet given to non-ruminant animals, swine and pigs. But more importantly, it is important for protein synthesis. Most of the breast meat that we crave after, is a function of the quality and the quantity of amino acid in the diet, the health of the animal, as well as the well-being of the poultry. But one of the challenges it presents is that there are very few feed ingredients that are high quality protein, such as soybean meal and canola meal. But more importantly, it should present us an opportunity to be able to explore the alternatives to these soybean meal and canola meal as protein sources of livestock, especially poultry animals. But thirdly, which I think is quite important, is the impact of this on our environment. More people, more feed, more chickens to be produced, more excreta nitrogen that gets excreted into the environment. So it brings that challenge with it. So the question we should ask ourselves is, can we actually reduce the effect of nitrogen excretion through poultry production? And the answer is a resounding yes. And one of the ways we could do this or address this is source reduction. That means reducing the quantity of cooked protein or nitrogen in the diet of chicken. And secondly, we should better use our feed ingredients. But to be able to do these two things, we need quantitative data of high quality in order to be able to formulate our diet closely meet the requirements of the animal, of the chickens, without putting too much allowance for error, and then that will lead to reduction in the amount of nitrogen that is excreted in the environment. So there are several factors that do influence endogenous amino acid losses. Now let me quickly explain what I mean by endogenous amino acid losses. These are amino acids that are found in ileal digester, excreta of feces of chicken or swine respectively, that are not from the diet. For instance, if you feed your animal pig or chicken cornstarch only, and after 2 or 3 days you collect the excreta or the feces or the ileal digester, you are going to find ample quantity of amino acid and nitrogen in it. So those ones are not coming from the diet, they are coming from endogenous sources. So these are what we need to correct from the diet that we are giving to an animal to be able to make sure that we're able to sustain the environment and minimize the amount of nitrogen that is excreted into the environment through the action of animal feeding operation. So several factors do influence the quantity or the flow of endogenous amino acid. And some of these include the fiber type and level as well as protein level. For instance, the higher the fiber level and protein level, the more endogenous amino acid that is produced. And in terms of fiber type, the soluble fiber has the potential to increase for high endogenous amino acid flow. Energy source in the diet, dietary electrolyte balance, which is a relationship or the proportion of sodium, potassium, and chloride in the diet, will also influence the endogenous amino acid flow, as well as calcium level, phytate or phytic acid level as well. The age of the animal, the strength of the animal, as well as the methodology, either nitrogen-free diet method, regression method, peptide alimentation method, and so on and so forth. All of these have potential to influence the data that we're getting in terms of endogenous amino acid losses. So how do we do this? If you look to your right, the figure shows on the x-axis the quantity of feed ingredients or feedstuffs in the diet, and on the y-axis the quantity of nitrogen that is excreted. The higher the level of protein in the diet or fiber in the diet, the higher the endogenous amino acid losses. But the first row shows a very flat basal endogenous nitrogen losses. This means, irrespective of the diet, there is a basal level that is constant of endogenous amino acid that is lost to the environment, irrespective of the diet. The second one is diet-specific endogenous amino acid losses, and this increases as the level of protein, fiber, maybe E.B and so on and so forth increases in the diet. And finally, proportion of the diet itself that is undigested and unabsorbed. So when you are talking about apparent digestibility, you are not correct for any of this. So that is why the value for apparent digestibility is called apparent, not standardized or true. Secondly, for standardized digestibility, you essentially correct just the basal, the first one on the lower level here, basal endogenous nitrogen losses as shown in the equation to your right. And finally, through digestibility, you are correcting your apparent digestibility value for specific endogenous amino acid losses of diet-induced endogenous amino acid losses, as well as basal endogenous nitrogen loss. So, in theory, apparent digestibility is always lower than standardized digestibility, and standardized digestibility is always lower than true digestibility. So, we did an experiment about 2 years ago, or we published some of our data about 2 years ago that showed that the higher the level of calcium in the diet, the higher the endogenous amino acid that is lost to the environment. And this slide is showing that the apparent value is in blue, the standardized value using nitrogen-free diet is in black color. For threonine, there is about 8 percentage point increase when we standardize threonine compared to, we have about 2 percentage point difference when we do that for total amino acid. And again, if you look at this is for corn on the 21-day-old broiler chicken. For soybean meal 21-day-old broiler chicken, the trend is similar, about 5 percentage point increase for threonine, and it's about 3 or 4 percentage point increase for total amino acid. So this is similar for every amino acid that we looked at in the study. So the question is, what is the goal? And I would say the answer to this is that the goal depends on the number of factors. One, the priority of the government in the area, the production system, and the economic wealth. Also, more importantly, is that the I know a large employer in Nigeria generate a lot of data, especially for alternative feed ingredients that are high in amino acids. And we need to do this not just only for different feed ingredients, we need to do for different species of poultry, different strains of birds, as well as different ages of birds. And more importantly, we need to make sure that we do this from the point of view of the environmental sustainability. I would like to acknowledge my graduate students, past and present, who have contributed in one way or the other to some of the information that I shared in here, as well as I would like to say thank you to the industry funders that have funded part of this research, as well as funding from the government of the US. Finally, I would like to congratulate Professor Sonaiya on his retirement, and more importantly on his 78th birthday, that as his day starts, so shall his strength be. And I wish him the very best of retirement. Have fun, travel, rest, and all the very best. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to me and for inviting me to give this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adedokun. That was very good. Thank you for sharing those slides and for the depth of the contents and presentation. The next presentation will come from Dr. Oluyinka Olukosi. But before then, we have some dignitaries, very eminent dignitaries in the house. Everybody is a dignitary, so this is not a discrimination process. We have so many very eminent personalities in random order. We have Professor Mrs. Fumisho Eton. Good afternoon, ma'am. Professor Shueton. We have Professor Ojo, former Vice Chancellor Bowen, I think. We have the Executive Director of FARA, the Forum for Agricultural Research. In Ghana, we have, that's Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo is in the house. Please say hello to the house, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello, everyone. This is Yemi Akinbamijo. It's a great pleasure to be with you. And hearty congratulations to my dear mentor, Professor Sonaiya. Thank you very much, Professor Hussaini.
Thank you very much. You are most welcome, sir. We are so honored by your presence, sir. I mentioned Professor Joe, Professor Jebi again. You are here. Thank you very much. You are in the morning session. We have Laja Adeshina, is an alumnus of the Department of Animal Sciences. Please say hello to the house, sir. Egbon Laja Adeshina, please say hello to the house. Okay. Dr. Weto from FUNAB. Professor Tolino. Okay. Dr. Weto.
Sir.
Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. So we are going to call more names as they pop up. So we go to the next presentation. That is from Dr. Oluyinka Olukosi. Please put up the presentation, Tosin.
My pleasure to be able to make this presentation, simply titled Beyond the Nutrients, at this occasion of Prof. Sonaiya's retirement. And this is basically to showcase some of the work that we've done in recent years with regards to the application of enzymes in non-ruminant diet, or with specific reference to the broilers in the poultry. Now, the use of enzymes is not something new specifically. It's something that's been going on for decades. Especially in the last 30 years, the commercialization of enzyme has actually gathered pace, such that at present it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But there is a conundrum with the use of enzymes, which basically is the observation that the equations do not always add up. In other words, we do not always see the effect of the enzyme being equal to the nutrient that is removed to make room for the enzyme. Now, because they are dummy data, just to illustrate the point. Now, when you look at the left panel, control. Let's say that we are using cycles as an example because it's the easiest one. You have a diet that is adequate in phosphorus, and this is the weight gain you have. When you remove the phosphorus, this is the weight gain you have. Now, what you notice is that when you add phytates to that diet without phosphorus, you have a weight gain that goes beyond the phosphorus that was removed. And it goes beyond the phosphorus that you expect the enzyme to provide. But you can observe the same thing in nutrient utilization. Let's say phosphorus retention, for example. You have a little bit above the positive control when you have the enzyme, but this little difference cannot account for the massive difference that you have in weight gain. So then the conclusion is that we need to look beyond the nutrients in order to be able to actually ascertain the total effect of the enzyme. So this is one area of my research in the last few years. One of the things that was published in my lab back in 2016, my work that I started doing essentially from 2012 onto now we have a series of experiments that were done. So part of the observation is what is here. And in this particular case, we were looking at a protease at the level, a combination of xalanase, amylase, and protease also at various levels. And we were looking at specifically monomers, sugar monomers, which are liberated as a result of the enzyme from the complex carbohydrates. Well, so here we're looking at arabinose. We're only giving a little part of the data here. So arabinose, xylose, both soluble and insoluble. We focus on arabinose and xylose here because they are the ones that make up the arabinoxylan, which is the polymer that so especially with regards to xylose, what you see is that especially when you have the xalanase, amylase, and protein, as you increase their concentration, you have more and more of them being released. Although this is a snapshot of what takes place at a specific point in time, and as I mentioned previously, this only presents a little part of the data. When we take the totality of the data into consideration, what it is telling us is that even the enzymes that do not have carbohydrates as part of their composition, they still lead to improvement in the amount of monomers, the carbohydrate monomers that were released. So we decided to take a closer look at this. And I had a graduate student that recently published this, looking specifically at the xalanase and a prebiotics, a xylooligosaccharide prebiotics. Before this, we've looked at xylose oligosaccharide and galactose oligosaccharides. But in this case, we are only presenting the xalanase and comparing with xylose oligosaccharides. And we're looking at various monomers, rhamnose, fructose, arabinose, xylose, and galactose, all of them from the complex carbohydrates, the non-starch polysaccharides fraction. And what we found is that there is really no difference between the two of them. That is between xalanase and xylose oligosaccharides with regards to the amount of the monomers that were released in the end. So both of them, although they have different modes of action, seems to lead ultimately to similar level of these monomers that are present in the digestive tract. So what is the effect of this? We know that the effect of prebiotics is to help shift the population of flora to more beneficial one. So in another study, which was only recently published, we looked at the use of xalanase or no xalanase with different level of phytates on the microbial population in the Zika context. So here is what is called the G+C profile. On the left side of the profile, we have those harmful bacteria. And here, especially around this region, we have the more beneficial bacteria. But clearly we see where you have this sign, you have differences. So clearly we see an effect, reducing the population of the beneficial, the pathogenic, and changing the population of the beneficial, which is what we can see here. When in these regions where we saw differences, 16S gene amplification was done to specifically look at the genes of the microbes that are expressed. And for example, you can see that the content of the microbes changes when you use xanthine in the diet. So this effect was observed in the brothers, but the same thing was also observed in Turkey. So telling us then that the effect of the enzymes is beyond the nutrient, but it involves also modifying the profile of the microbial community in the Zika content, not only of broilers, but of turkey. I had another graduate student that looked at similar thing. So one of my graduate students looking at different types of treatment, a diet that was low in energy, but then supplemented with xalanase, or supplemented with xalanase and beta-glucanase, or supplemented with xylose oligosaccharides, which is a prebiotic, exogenous prebiotic. The theory is that these enzymes will be able to generate prebiotics, which we've seen previously in the experiment, and their effect on microbial community should be similar to that of exogenous prebiotics. Of course, in this experiment, the effect was largely insignificant, unlike what we saw previously. But we did see a little bit of shift around this region. And this is the region that also represents some of the beneficial bacteria. So this region has a trend of changes, which shows the benefit of the use of exogenous xalanase or prebiotics in modifying the Zika microbial dynamics. In more recent studies, we actually found that the nutrient profile that leads to these changes is mainly high fiber content in the diet. Here we are looking at oligosaccharides with 4 pentyl sugars in the chain, and we see that these are large, they are much higher when you have high fiber, and it's actually very well represented here, where we have high fiber, the last 2 in each group. Those are high fiber diets. These are high fiber diets, whereas we have these are the low fiber diets. So the more fiber you have in diet, the more you are likely to release exogenous prebiotics. All right, so that is leading to new paradigms in the use of fiber, especially in poultry. The fiber, instead of viewing it as a foe, it actually can be a friend. Of course, that requires strategic use of fiber as well as enzymes so that we can tap into benefit. Another paradigm shift is that exogenous enzymes beyond the nutrients can be acting as triggers for downstream effects of enzyme. This downstream effect can influence nutrient utilization, they can influence microbiome response. We were working on the microbiome response as I've shown previously, but with regards to nutrient utilization, an area that is of interest is with the concept of ileal brake, where enzymes can trigger ileal brake, slowing down digestive transit and thus enhancing nutrient utilization. But those are areas that are being investigated by different actors. So I would just like to conclude by acknowledging those that have been doing a lot of heavy lifting, whereas we do the brain work, but the graduate students keep us young and they keep bringing fresh ideas. So I would like to acknowledge some of my recent research grad students as well as the funders. We have funders from the industry as well as the government making all of this possible. And I want to thank you also for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Make this presentation simply titled Beyond the Nutrients at this occasion.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Lukosi. That was very good. That fiber should be seen as a friend. Okay. So thank you for that. We have the next presentation from Dr. Lit of Georgia, USA too. We'll be speaking on Fulani chicken. So Tosin, please grant Dare a screen share, opportunity to share his screen, please.
Good morning, my professors online and on-site, colleagues, gentle ladies and gentlemen. Please, before I continue with my presentation, I want to know whether you are able to see my screen and whether you can hear my voice.
Yes, starting from the second question, we can hear your voice, or you need to do screen sharing. So share your screen, please.
I'm trying to share it.
Okay. There's the green button at the middle of the lower
Yes, sir.
bar.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can you see it now, sir?
Not yet.
Can you see the screen now?
Not yet.
Oh,
can others view the screen? Hello?
Not yet, sir. We
can't. No, not yet. Not yet. Okay. We have not yet seen the screen. Yeah.
We are seeing your photo,
face.
seeing you camera.
Okay.
Are you seeing it now, sir?
No, we are seeing you.
Yes, sir.
Come down to screen share.
Yes, I was there.
So click on screen.
Okay.
Click on the.
Can you see it now, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes,
yeah, we can.
Now we have it. Very
Thank
green.
you. Thank you. I'm very grateful. Yes, sir. Yeah, going on with my presentation, I want to appreciate all the professors on site and online, my colleagues, friends, gentle ladies and gentlemen. And particularly, I want to appreciate the celebrant, my mentor, teacher, Professor Emmanuel Babat Sonaiya, and for the impact you have made in my life. While I was starting my proposal, writing my proposal as a PhD student, I want to just do crossing Nigeria Fulani chicken with exotic. But you told me then that we have not really studied the Nigerian Fulani chicken. I cannot but agree with you after the study, considering all the data that I have gathered. This is the outline of my presentation. Nigeria has a population of about 190 million people. 54% or more of these are below the poverty line, living in rural areas, undernourished, and living under $2 per day. Bill Gates said, if I should live on $2 a day, what will I do to improve my life? And he said, I will raise chicken. And you can see from my screen what he concluded. Nigeria chickens, poultry industry in Nigeria is consisted of 180 million chickens distributed in 3 rearing systems: the intensive, the semi-intensive, and the extensive system. The semi-intensive and extensive system make up the smallholder poultry system, and they made up about 79% of the total chicken population in Nigeria. But despite this high proportion, the productivity is not sufficient enough to take the rearer above the poverty line. And why? It's because of the very low input systems and the unselected, unapproved chicken that were being reared in the Nigerian Fulani chicken is one of the locally adapted chicken in Nigeria and has been grouped to be an heavy ecotype chickens in Nigeria. And it is acclaimed even to be the biggest of the locally adapted chicken. This chicken has been reared by the Fulani tribe in Nigeria in their Accra. And they have been selecting them for body weight, though they don't have records. The Nigerian Fulani chicken, they were adapted, they are resilient, they are efficient, they are sustainable, and up till now, they are yet to be exploited for conservation and global utilization. We have two objectives on this study. The first objective assess the variations in life weight at 16 and 40 weeks of age and compare the life weight at 40 weeks with 3 breeds of chickens, the Bauplama truck, the Black Australorp, and the Rhode Island Red. These 3 breeds, they are the chickens that make up the breeding lines in producing commercial layers in Nigeria. Then we want to, and not even in Nigeria, almost all over the world. We want to compare also the air quality characteristics of Nigerian Fulani chicken with these two. And from this picture, you can see some of our materials and methods.
Make it full screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
full screen,
yes,
please. The bottom. At the bottom.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Okay. For F5.
No.
No, still not full screen yet.
I'll be there.
No problem. Take it easy.
Yes, sir.
Gary, is to put in the presentation mode. You are not in the presentation mode yet.
Okay.
So not those ones. Not those ones.
Or press F5. Press F5, but you have to start.
Go down.
This.
Yeah, that one.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Are we okay now?
Yes.
Oh, no,
almost.
Not yet.
Can I go on, sir?
No, not yet.
It's still not full screen yet.
Okay. Oh, good.
Just
not familiar with, this is Windows 10, yeah?
Yes,
maybe
sir.
Maybe that arrow, that arrow at the bottom there, maybe?
Yes, sir.
No, not that one, not that one.
The arrow close to the percentage.
Close to?
The next one.
The percentage, you have the next one, yes.
Yes.
The next one. Next one again.
Yeah, that one is...
No, next one.
The arrow.
The full screen.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your system is very sophisticated.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So these are the materials and methods. We collected some local chicken from 4 agroecological climatic conditions in Nigeria, and as our foundation stock, and we have our baseline by through artificial insemination of the female with the sperm from the male. We collected our eggs, we hatched, and measurements were taken for the body weight and the air quality characteristics. And I want to say here that the air quality characteristics were done at the Animal Production at Health and Health of the Federal University of Agriculture Laboratory in Abeokuta.
Okay, continue, please.
Yes, sir. Oh my goodness. Are you on my screen, sir?
Yes, we are. Hello?
Hello, sir.
On the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What is the problem now?
I think the PowerPoint has disappeared. You have to open it again.
My goodness.
So start the PowerPoint again.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry, take it. It's part of the fun for today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Maybe you can close and open it again. Yeah.
Close
Okay,
and open.
I will do that.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to come back there. Okay. So this is from Word. Okay.
It's a Word document.
Yes, it's from a Word.
Okay. Also, see, Derek, can you give a general synopsis as part
Yes.
of the fund for today? Can
Yes,
you
sir.
give a general synopsis? Okay, we are back here. Okay, but we need to rush a little bit now.
Yes, sir.
Your slides are very loaded.
Oh my goodness. I want to say that we collected the data on the chickens and for body weight and I would love to have the screen, sir. It's
Is it full screen?
yes, I will.
We are seeing your screen. We are seeing.
Yeah. That's not yes, I'm back to the screen. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir. So this is our result, and you can see we collect. Data were taken on 120 females chicken and 120 male chicken at 16 and 40 weeks of age, and we can see the variations in body weight, the life weight of the chicken, and the smallest weight, the smallest size weight are in the mother class at 16 weeks of age, 46.7. And the smallest weight in female is 1,200 grams. In female is about 800 grams. And we can see here that the natural selection favors small size in this chicken. And this it has been attributed as an adaptation to the management and the local environment. But when we look at all this weight, 1,200 to 1,250, 26.7%, and as high as 1,510 grams in male, and over 1,300 grams in female. That is at 16 weeks of age. Then at 40 weeks of age, this is not the data. At 40 weeks of age, the same variation was seen, and we can see here. We try to compare the Nigerian Fulani chickens with these three exotic lines that have been adapted to our local condition. This is black Australorp, and in this environment, the body weight and our management system under intensive production, the body weight is 2,185 grams. The black Plymouth truck is 1,770 grams, and the Royal Ireland Red is over 1,600 grams. But when we look at the variations in life weight of the Nigerian Fulani chicken, we can see that there's no life weight here that are not same in the Nigerian Fulani chicken. But we have not selected at an intensity enough to utilize that variation. And why? Some of our researches that were done in Nigeria, we can see this is a research by Shola Hamal in 2017. He uses 48 chickens And also, we can see my colleagues, Dr. Sola Ojo, he used over 90 chickens too. And what I'm trying to say is that we have not used a large sample of this local chicken enough to really see the variation. And this is another research in Bangladesh. And when we look at the total number of population used here, we can see the difference. So we need to go to this level of population, do selection under high intensity, and after the selection, then we can now be doing crossing. But most of our studies here is based on collecting chicken, and immediately we are doing crossing, and then the sample size is small enough that we cannot even be able to see the level of variation in this chicken. And this is air quality characteristics of the Nigerian Fulani chicken compared with Black Australo, Plymouth Rock, and Rhode Island Red. And when we look at this characteristic, we can see that the Rhode Island Red has the best performance in air quality characteristic. But the Nigerian Fulani chickens have the best quality of percentage yolk and percentage eggshell, which are good traits in both breeding and commercial production. Egg yolk is necessary for the development of the chick sustenance, and eggshell is a trait that has to be selected for commercial table egg production. Then here we can see at 40 weeks of age, the variation in egg weight of the Nigerian Fulani chickens. The same age of chicken, yet we have these variations in egg weight. That means if we can select also for egg weight, we can have improvement. And we can see here that, about 46% of this egg, they are the range of 40 to 45 grams. 30% are the ranges of 45 to 50 grams, and 20% are in the ranges of 50 to 55 grams. Then less than 40 are at 4% range. And we can see the egg weight in the Nigerian Fulani chicken compared to other breeds. The Nigerian Fulani chicken has the smallest egg weight, 41.23 grams. The Rhode Island Red are the highest. And our conclusion is that Nigerian Fulani chicken have not been studied extensively in exploiting its inherent variation for genetic improvement. If selected under high selection intensity, we compare favorably in life weight and egg characteristic with some exotic breeds. And eggs to be selected for hatching, when we were considering breeding, must be collected at 40 weeks of age, should not be less than 50 grams in weight. And there's a need to maximize the use of exotic genetics that have been adapted to the tropical climate to improve the performance of the Nigerian Fulani chicken. Recommendations. We are recommending an effective base population of about 2,000-day-old chicks to really see the variation in life weight and performance in the Nigerian Fulani chicken. And this bird should be transferred to pasture rearing system at 12 weeks of age, so that they can be adapted to that condition. Since the end user are smallholder poultry system, selection should be done on pasture at 16 and 40 weeks of age under selection intensity of 10% at 16 weeks and 5% at 40 weeks of age. Selection for egg size and egg production should be done at 40 weeks under selection intensity of 5% in a modified pasture system. And within population mating and selection should be carried out over 5 generations under the same intensity. And at the 6th generation, female Nigerian Fulani chicken can now be crossed with Rhode Island Red males to have the commercial products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lawrence Dari. We really appreciate your presentation and that of others. I'm going to project the presentation of Professor Kolako Ajuwon right now. No, I will project from my end, Tosin.
Okay, sir.
So grant me screen share, please. You granted me screen share? Oh. Hello? Hello? Yes. Okay. So grant me screen share, please. Okay, let me see now. What's the best way to... Okay, almost there. Okay. Can you see my screen?
I do appreciate the opportunity I have today to share with you some of my activities
Are you seeing my screen, please?
Said we are not seeing.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have seen that you are starting to share your screen, but you have not yet seen your screen.
Not yet, not yet.
You are sharing
Not
your
yet.
screen.
Okay. Yes, I'm on it.
some of my activities.
I'm on it.
Yeah, you are starting to share it.
Okay, let me see. So look okay. Let me see.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Is it taking long?
Okay.
Engines of the third world. Yeah, you are there.
Yes.
So full screen.
You see Yahoo website.
Oh, is it? Are you seeing this?
It is starting.
Are you seeing?
I think you are seeing part of the screen, yeah?
Are you seeing Purdue University?
No, we are seeing Yahoo.
No.
Yahoo website.
Okay, let me start again. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, technology sometimes technology can give some surprise. Yeah.
Okay, so let's try again. Stop sharing. Okay. Now share screen. Okay.
Hello, over there.
Yes. So is it better now?
It's Kabura speaking here in
Yes.
Maiduguri. Trying to wish Professor Sonia happy birthday.
Okay. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, you have seen the screen now. Yes.
Yes, I hit. Yes, I hit.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Now
okay now.
it's good.
I do appreciate the opportunity I have today to share with you some of my activities as we celebrate the retirement of Professor E.B Sonaiya.
Tell the speaker, volume, please.
My engagement.
Volume, please.
Volume, okay.
In Zambia and Ethiopia. I'm a nutritionist by training. I study adipose tissue development and how it's impacted by nutrition, how it's impacted by the environment. I also study nutrient regulation of intestinal health and function, using the pig as my primary model. The ultimate goal is to increase the efficiency of animal production, swine production, and poultry. We need to address the productivity gap. We do know that as we approach the year 2050, which is the magic year, we need to close that productivity gap between the expected production level, the productivity level, and what is the project. And we can see that the projected level is still tracking below the expected level. And this is more so for developing countries, low-income countries, which Nigeria is a part of. So having that in mind, you can address productivity gap with rigorous research in the lab, which really forms the bulk of my activity. But like I mentioned, I'm not going to be talking about that today. And I do encourage you to look up my name and you see about 80 publications in this area. But I want to talk primarily on my engagement with partners in Zambia and Ethiopia. About 6-7 years ago, I established a study abroad program in Zambia. And we know Zambia being a Southern African country. In the last 5 years or so, I've also been involved in a World Bank funded African Center of Excellence program with Aramaya University in Ethiopia. Today, I'll be focusing primarily on my work in Zambia. We have partners in Zambia called Rivende Farms in the northern part of Zambia in the Copper region. And our goal is to establish a model farm where local farmers can come and see improved techniques and also improve their managerial expertise, managerial knowledge. You know, a lot of farmers don't keep good records. They cannot do budgeting. They cannot project, and we want to improve that aspect of their management as well. And we have three primary objectives. Again, development of improved practices so that local farmers can see and learn from what we do. We also, being a university, wanted to create an opportunity, educational opportunity for our students. They can engage in what is called service learning. They serve the farmers, they serve the farm, and learn in the process, learn from the local people, and also make impact. But as a researcher, I'm also interested in advancing knowledge of, you know, how can we improve the nutrition of the animals, for instance. And we have colleagues that are looking at how to improve knowledge in the area of crop production. So improvement of agricultural practices, creating opportunity for students, and also advancing knowledge to research. The farm has what they call enterprises, multiple enterprises, from dairy cattle to beef cattle to goat, to even honey production. And of course, they do not need our help in all these areas. So we focus primarily on chicken production and goat production. And for chicken production, we focus mainly on improving the nutrition and health care of the chickens, focusing on formulation of feed for the birds using locally available resources, waste from the dairy, waste from the kitchen. How can we formulate this to make a better diet for the birds? Diets that the farmer can afford. So we spend quite a lot of time doing that. We also work with the farm to develop a better healthcare management program with regular vaccinations, with regular medications, and just ordinary hygiene, better hygiene for the birds. Again, our students are heavily involved in all these activities. But it's with the goal that we spend most of our time, 70% of our time is with the goats, because Zambia believes goats could be being small ruminants. We know they have a lot of advantages over large ruminants like cattle because of their small size. Initial investment is lower, and and the land area that you need is not as large as with cattle. So we spent quite a lot of time developing a housing, goat housing. And this goat housing is based on the use of scrap woods and bamboo. Bamboo is highly available, readily available in that part of Zambia. And our students are involved in designing it and also in constructing it from the ground up. And at the end of the day, I was able to keep about 40 goats. So if you have multiple of these at your farm, you can have as many goats as possible. It's secure, you can lock it up at night, and it keeps the animals away from their feces. You can manage their health better. You can come in the morning and spray them easily, as we will see in this picture here. One of our students is spraying the goats. You can deworm them regularly, easily, because they're housed in one place. We also do work on improving their nutrition. We actually follow the goats as they graze, and we follow them all day so that we understand what they eat, and that will inform our formulation of diets for the goats. Zambia, that area of Zambia also has a lot of vegetation. We observe the goat eat, so we bring it back to them so that they can have more. And our students are, again, heavily, deeply involved in all the activities that we do. We use those around, but we actually introduced cassava to that farm. We planted a lot of cassava. We cut it, take it back to the farm, but we also mix concentrates for the goats so that they can supplement whatever they graze in the field. So what have been some of the results where we immediately saw improved animal performance measured by growth rate and feed conversion, and also it has been a formation experience for our students. Many of our students have never been to Africa before. They've never interacted at that level with animals before, and actually many of them have returned to Africa. We have students in the Cameroon, we have students in Uganda, we have students that have gone back to Zambia to work with the people, some of them to start their own, to work with companies, because through that they'll be closer to the people. So this has been very rewarding. The other program that I mentioned is with the Aramara University in Ethiopia, which got a World Bank funded program grant on human capacity development in the area of climate smart agriculture. I'm primarily working in the area of animal production, especially nutrition. We have colleagues that are working in the area of crops, working in the area of soil, how to institute climate smart agricultural policies, and actually into the curriculum, the training into the curriculum for students and also faculty. This center takes students from several countries in East Africa, from Kenya, from Tanzania, and it's gratifying to see that through this program we're able to train not only the trainers, the professors, but people who work in government ministries and other private individuals. So it is again good to see human capacity development in this part of Africa through this World Bank grant. I'm very, very glad to be part of this. And it's a great opportunity. And I would say we also, myself and Professor Laye Adeola Kodu, we've hosted a number of scholars from Nigeria that have studied in my labs, our labs that have short-term training Some of them have gotten their advanced degrees, can move down. And between the two of us, we have currently 7 Nigerians in the Department of Animal Sciences here at Purdue. So this is something we're really committed to, developing human capacity. And it's good to see many of our students go and do great things after they leave Purdue, whether they return to Nigeria or whether they go to other parts of the world. So again, I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to this talk, but also to thank Professor E.B Sonaiya for the great impact he's had in my life. And we've imbibed his spirit, which is to make impact. Wherever you do, make an impact. And I do thank him for this. And again, thank all of you for listening to this talk.
Thank you very much, Professor Kolakpo Ajo. That was very good. So we're going to move to the last presentation in this series. We have a presentation from the industry. This is not the regular industry, but from Aviagen, the topmost ranking poultry breeding industry in the whole world. So we call on Dr. Victor Olori to make his presentation, please. So Dr. Olori.
Thank you, Seni. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's a great privilege once again to talk. I'm going to say I wasn't quite as prepared for this as I would have loved to. So I'm going to share a presentation. The reason why I'm sharing this presentation is not because I want to dazzle anybody, it's because I want to show us what the challenges are as we think about developing our own breeding industry. Last week I spoke about segmentation and the need, the importance of us developing our own seed sector in Nigeria. And I'm delighted to see in the audience here today, Dr. Matthew from FUNAB Alpha, from UNAB, here present, where they have a breeding program. So this is just to share with us just a little bit on what it takes or what is required as we think about developing the Fulani breeds and the other breeds in Nigeria that we'll be thinking about. But it's also relevant for all other industries. So another reason why I'm sharing this is oftentimes when I speak to people that Professor E.B Sonaiya is my mentor, they quickly say, but he's not an animal breeder. And I say, so? The man is an epitome of what the PhD actually stands for, the Doctor of Philosophy, which means we are equipped to be able to use our brains to think about problems and find solutions to them. And problems by nature are interacted. They are not one way. So if you want to improve livestock production, you want to feed them well, you should also think about the genetics. And I'm so delighted that Dr. Sonaiya, Professor Sonaiya took me in, even though he knew I was interested in animal breeding, but showed me the way that animal breeding works in concert with all other aspects of poultry production, of livestock production in general. So I'm going to talk about breeding towards 2030 in terms of poultry breeding. Poultry production, as we all know, is in the food sector. And what that means is that it's highly regulated. It uses resources, both natural and man-made resources. And so this therefore defines what we do in the breeding program in terms of preparing or breeding the birds that will have to be made available worldwide to those who are going to use it. So the first thing you have to bear in mind that poultry production requires resources, both natural and made man. And in many places, poultry production is regulated, highly regulated. There are things you can do and there are things you cannot do. Now, what is the objective of the industry? Is to provide healthy birds for consumption in terms of the broiler industry, or eggs for consumption in terms of the layer industry. But there's also a question of the welfare standards and sustainability of production, but more importantly, that the products we're going to produce is of good quality. Now, this does not refer to any specific breed. Whichever breed you are producing, it has to meet these things, that the bird has to be happy for them to produce well, and then you are going to produce a good quality product that people are going to pay premium price for. Now, again, many people, Dari and others, have already told us what the challenges are. We need to produce more food for people. We need to use resources that are reducing every day, and we need to produce food for people who are more fussy, these days. I eat pomo and tripe, and my kids cannot understand why I should be enjoying pomo or tripe when there is a succulent chicken available. So the next generation are going to be more fussy what they eat and what we produce for them. But more especially that in Africa, it is expected that the amount of increase in livestock or meat production is expected to increase by about 73% relative to the developed world, where only 27% is required to increase. So we have a lot more work to do if we are to meet our requirements in the developing world, and that's Nigeria. And this is where I keep saying that every little helps, every breed, every strain, every production system has to contribute if we are going to be able to meet this 73% increase that is required.
Still working.
Now, if we look at globally, what does people like Aviagen and Cobb, what do they look at when they are thinking of what to deselect or what to breed for it? They look at the world parent stock market. This is the seed stock for poultry. So this is how many millions of parent stock were distributed in 2016.
We're still full. We ate so much brunch.
Despite Africa, about 70.3 million parent stock were distributed in around 2016, relative to what is distributed in the rest of the world. And if you are a person who wants to meet all these requirements, then you have to think about what is required around these different parts of the world, which are very different. So what can the breed industry do? Now, here I'm talking about Aviagen, but if you break it down to Funab Alpha or Shika Brown or the Fulani, what is the first thing you think about? There's no point making genetic improvements in your birds. There's no point making them glamorous and beautiful if you cannot supply them to the farmers who need to use them. So I often say to people that the most important aspect of the breeding program is not the genetic improvement itself. It is the sustainable supply of your seed stock to the farmers that need it. So whatever we are able to achieve, whatever we are able to do in the breeding program, we must think of how we are going to get this product continuously to the farmer who needs to use it whenever they need it. So the distribution network is very important. In terms of Aviagen, it's a global distribution network. And that's why we have subsidiaries all around the world. You also need to think about the range of products. Variety is the spice of life. It's not everybody that wants exactly the same kind of thing. The kind of chicken that the fast food sector requires, like the KFCs or Supreme Chicken or Chicken Republic in Nigeria, the kind of chicken they required is different from the one that the woman that goes to the market to buy live chicken requires. So you have to think about a range of products that you can develop from your breeds that you have. Robust performance is also very important because production is going to be taking place in a very wide range of environments. It's not everybody that can have the perfect production environment. So your chickens needs to be robust. And then, of course, genetic enhancement is the second aspect of it. That's the advantage of having the nucleus. So within the nucleus, you are going to carry on your genetic enhancement, genetic improvement, but it's important to be able to supply that seed stock to the producers. So what are the traits of interest? So Matthew, I hope you are paying attention. In poultry, in terms of poultry production, breeder traits, live broiler traits, and the processing traits. No one has superiority over the other. There used to be a misconception that, when you are broiler breeders producing meat, they don't care about egg production. But of course, if we don't care about egg production, we're not going to be able to produce the chicks. If our chickens cannot lay eggs and they cannot lay fertile eggs, then we cannot produce the chick that we have to supply to you. So we have to take egg production into consideration. So you think about the breeder traits, chick output, hashability, livability, fertility, and egg quality. And I remember the work I did with Professor Sonaiya a long time ago, way back in 1991, where we looked at the egg quality of the Fulani versus the Yoruba ecotypes in Nigeria. So these are the traits that are of interest. The live broiler traits, the growth rate, feed conversion ratio, livability, uniformity, and then the yield traits. Now, you think about the environment where you're going to supply them. As I said earlier on, there's going to be a wide variation. So people will be able to provide good quality houses, like the one Sonaiya left behind we saw this morning from his legacy project. So people are going to be using the old type of shed that was dilapidated. And as long as they're making a profit, they're making a profit. What's important to you as a breeder is to make your bed resilient and robust, to be able to perform to its best in either a good environment or a bad environment. And what do you need to do that? The cardinal points. You need a very wide genetic base. And this is every time we're talking about starting a population of chickens. If you want to breed these chickens and supply to people, you have to have a wide genetic base. I remember Darius spoke about 2,000 birds earlier on today. Anyway, when it comes to that point, we sit down and we plan it. You need to have a very wide genetic base. It's very important because the market can change tomorrow. Today, most of the broilers are white. In the last 5 years, we've started to produce brown broilers because the market demanded them. We started to produce, even though our growth rate is very high, we've started to look for chickens that cannot grow fast. Because now people are concerned about welfare, free-range things, organic production, and in France, Netherlands, and Germany, many other countries, they don't even want a chicken that grows more than 50 grams per day. They don't want it. They want the ones that grow less than that per day. And that is the opportunity that new breeding companies like yours, like the ones we are trying to start, or the ones you can have in Nigeria has, because we have the very wide variation of chickens that don't grow fast. That's an advantage, even though in the past we used to think it was a disadvantage, because even the developed world are now looking for welfare sensitive chickens, animals, organic production. So nothing is bad. As I said last week, everything you have is good. Every breed is good. Every breed has its own space. Then you think about the breeding objective. You have to have a very wide breeding objective, breeding goal. In other words, the number of traits that you consider has to be very many. If you limit yourself to one trait, because of the negative antagonism, because of the antagonism between traits, negative genetic correlations, if you keep improving one trait, the other one will go down. If you keep improving fast growth rate, then they will not lay eggs, or the eggs will not be fertile, and then your program will come to an end very quickly. And then also you have to think about multiple production environments. Now, in the good environment, you test your birds properly for optimum growth. In the poor environment, you test them for robustness and resilience to disease and all that things. That's the way to get a bird that is going to be robust and resilient, irrespective of whatever production environment it is put in. Okay, so feed conversion is very important. This is just an example. I'll give a quick rundown. I'm sure a lot of people would have loved this kind of production system, in a research laboratory or a research farm, for example. But this is one thing we have that we are very proud of. It's a big hall, a big pen, yet we are able to record and capture individual feed intake of the birds. And this ability to capture individual feed intake is giving us the insight into feeding behavior of birds. How does it relate to feed efficiency? So we're not just talking about feed efficiency anymore. We're talking of things like how many times does a chicken actually goes to eat? How much feed does it take every time? And how does this affect overall performance of the bird? So we've seen that there's a big relationship, a big variation between meal size and feed conversion ratio is independent of that. So there are many other things that we can learn. But equipment, facility you have, and the traits you are able to measure is very important when it comes to broadening your breeding objective. And of course, improving the feed efficiency is one trait that is very important. When we talk about climate change, we talk about minimizing global carbon footprint of poultry production. This is a key trait in it. And I think all my colleagues here in the nutrition industry, we also attest to this fact. because if you can make genetic gain of 0.022 per day, it leads to significant gains in the farm. Because imagine, this is just an example I worked out in one of the presentations, that if you have to cater for 56 billion birds, okay, if you make a progress of just 0.025 points in FCR, you are saving about 3.09 million tons of feed. And roughly, if all of that feed is coming from just maize or alone, you are saving about 1.0 million acres of feed of maize, plantation. So you can save. That means you can produce feed to feed these same birds with a smaller piece of land compared to what you have now. So right from the onset, we should aim at feed efficiency. Now, water efficiency is becoming an issue. I don't know about Nigeria here, we are still perhaps okay, but in many other countries, water efficiency is an issue. Water is also very important in terms of the gut health of the birds. And I think you've heard a lot about gut health these days and other traits, welfare traits like foot pad dermatitis. Okay, so if you have very wet litter, you can have problems. But if your birds are efficient in water utilization, then you can minimize problems with terms of gut health as well as foot pad dermatitis. So you can also select for water efficiency. And what we have found recently is that there is a relationship between feed intake and water intake. But there is still a big difference. There's a big variation because, for example, whereas this bird consumes the same amount of feed, this one takes more water compared to this one. And the question is why? And what impact does this have to do with the performance and productivity of the bird? Now, in terms of yield, there are very many ways to measure the yield of a bird. Live traits, you can use ultrasound, you can just feel the bird, in terms of what we call palpation. You can look at the whole bird and uniformity. But also you can say,
Victor.
Yeah. Can you see here?
Just the lifetime, this is not a World Congress of Genetics applied to livestock production, sir.
All right. So we will, the point I'm trying to make with this slide is to say that there are so many different tools these days that you can use to improve traits, even traits that cannot be measured on live animals. So we will come to that, and you do not compromise on anything. So I think this is the last slide that I really wanted to show, that in breeding, as you start to prepare for improving your birds for the different customers, you should consider all the traits. A lot of traits are important. No one trait is important. Don't say because it's for meat production or for, and that's the last slide I have in my presentation. So I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, everyone, Victor. Yeah. You're almost the next World Congress on Genetics Applied to Livestock is when, sir? 2024, sir.
2024, yes.
Okay, I thought you were already there already from your presentation. Thank you very much. All the presenters and all the presentations are well appreciated. They took us through ruminant nutrition, through fiber, through the genetics, through poultry breeding from the industry. We are so grateful for all this presentation. So is there any quick input? Dr. Fallow, you have any quick input? Sorry, I'm jumping on you, sir. Before we continue to the presentation of the compendium.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Oh, thank you, Professor Seni. So I think we had a very excellent presentation covering various aspects of poultry science, ranging from the use of nutrition to breeding and interaction with the environment. And I think all that the presenters has given us is that we are facing some challenge about how to feed the world population, which is ever growing, and how to make sure that the poultry production is efficient, profitable, and to the producers, and how we make food available to the ever-growing population, taking into consideration also the environment. I think we had very excellent presentation. I think it's in honor of what the Professor Sonaiya has ever contributed to, and we really appreciate the impact all the presenters aim to put on the poultry production system globally. And we had presentation from various parts of the world, and I think these presentations gave us excellent results, and we have an idea about the state of the art in various aspects of poultry production, and how these poultry production can be used to make an impact for the whole humanity. I think this is in honor of Professor Sonaiya, because he has been always the champion of these various aspects of small-scale production for the well-being of the world population in general, also specifically focusing on the most vulnerable population. And I think, so what we say that these are the very excellent presentation. We really enjoy watching all of them. And I thank you all for the tremendous contribution to this celebration of the retirement of our dear, long-term and champion and friend, Professor Funso Sonaiya. And we thank you all for all your effort in contributing to the success of this event. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is highly appreciated. I had to call on you some few minutes back. That was spontaneous request. And then we thank you for the summary of all the presentations. So the next item on the agenda is the formal presentation of the compendium. So as part of these celebrations or part of the ceremonies, also request Prof, the celebrant, Professor E.B Sonaiya, to compile all his presentations from 1900 to date in a compendium as part of the legacy to the current and next generation. So he's going to anchor that phase of the program, which is the formal presentation of the compendium. My fear, sir, my fear is that this presentation of the compendium is a whole program on its own. So we're going to plead for your patience. So over to you, Professor, sir. Prof, sir. The celebrant, sir.
I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we can hear you now. Okay, I was muted. Can I share my screen? Yes.
Tosin, enable Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is the part me that I should provide a compendium, and I'm understanding that to mean an incomplete collection. And you will see why I say that as we go along. It's an incomplete collection of my writings in journal articles, presentations at conferences, seminars, workshops, and public lectures between 1977, when I joined the staff, and 2020. The content of the compendium is in 5 parts. Part A is the curriculum vitae up to 2020. B, the journal articles. C, the conferences, seminars, and workshop papers. D, the books and monographs. And E, the public lectures. So I will just go quickly through this. It's so many pages, we're not going to read it. But to show you that there is a comprehensive CV that tracks my progression through the university, and you will see the papers later highlighted. But the comprehensive CV is there, and it will be available for anybody who wanted to check something or the other. But apart from the comprehensive CV, I thought it was better to now break up the writings into the sections that I highlighted. So the first section is publications in scientific journals. And there are 60 papers. And you see that the first one here is number 24 in the comprehensive CV. And it goes on to number 87. Now you ask me, do you do arithmetic? Because 24 to 87 is more than 60. And the reason is that the last 3 papers, 2 are accepted and 1 has been submitted. But I thought I should throw it in here just for information. So we have number 85, which has been accepted into the Archive for Tierzucht, volume 64. And then number 86, it's been accepted in the Nigerian Journal of Animal Production, volume 47, number 5. And then the 87 has been submitted by the senior author. But what makes this different from the CV is that you now have all of the papers that are electronically available. So if you just click on any of these, you'll be able to get the full papers and to read them. As you can see, most of them are in PDF. And I think before I hand them over finally, I will turn all the Word files into PDF so that it remains intact. So this is what you have. Obviously, there are only about 36 here. There are some that are not available electronically, and so they do not feature here. Some of them, the university library has agreed to scan for me, but those of us who live in Nigeria know that we are living in interesting times, and the workers in the library have not been able to complete that. But the librarian who is here has promised that they would complete it, and then we would have all of the materials that are available. A lot of the materials are already available online. And you can just, if you look through the CV, you can just click on the URL, on the links, and you get the papers. But these are the ones that I have available, and some of them had to scan, but you can have access to them by just clicking on that. The second group, the writings presented in conferences, seminars, and workshops. There are 78 or more than that. So just like for the journal articles, the listing is not as interesting as the fact that some of them are available already electronically. And so I have included them in the compendium. And if you just click on any of them, you will be able to read the papers. And also, I intend to convert all the Word documents into PDF. And then the next group is the books and monographs. And you can see that the numbering starts from 4. And it includes all of my contribution of chapters to books, co-authoring and authoring. And most of them are not available online. And so I try to make some of them available, but some are available online and you can just click on the links. Then those that are edited, mostly for the International Network for Family Poultry Development, they are also not available online. And then the training manual for poultry production, which is a monograph of the Department of Animal Science, is also not available online. But like I mentioned for the other sections, what is interesting now is that you have some of these available so that you can just click on them and you get the full papers. The last section is the public lectures. And the record shows there are about 28 of them, but some of them maybe are not, a lot of them are available as PowerPoints. And so I didn't include any PowerPoints. I only wanted text. And so I've only included those that are available as text. And you will see that the first one is the inaugural lecture tomorrow. It's a good thing you don't have it so that you cannot click on it and start giving my lecture before I give it. So you will not get that until after the inaugural lecture. My expectation is that the Department of Animal Sciences will be able to upload these onto the data warehouse so that anybody can get to the warehouse and download the papers. So those are the 4 sections of the compendium. I also have not included any other writing that is not academic. So I've removed that, and you can look at the full CV, and if you are interested, you can then search for them. Some of them are available online, like the semi-biography of my mother's life is available on Okada Books, free of charge. I asked them not to put a cost, so you can go to Okada Books and read the book. And those who come physically for the lecture tomorrow, they will get a copy of that book. And then they also get a copy of the inaugural lecture. So this is the compendium as I see it. And I will very much welcome your comments, your suggestions, so I can, although I retire tomorrow, but as people say, you shouldn't be tired. I will spend some time finalizing this, putting it in the best shape and the easiest way for people to use. I promise to do that before I finally put down my pen in terms of academics. But I promise you, I'm picking up a pen to write more on, as I've mentioned, on ethics and on philosophy. And so you may not be finding writings on poetry, on grantsmanship, and so on, but really on why are things like this and how should it be. So this is a brief presentation of the compendium. And I don't know what the coordinator wants to do, but I am very eager to get comments. You can send it by chat or you can send it by text or email so that I can benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation of the compendium. As the celebrant mentioned, comments and contributions to this will be entertained at the right-hand sidebar. Okay, so we're going to go to the next section now, which is the book review. And then we have 2 very eminent reviewers. We're going to start with the reviewer, friend, and brother from the industry. That is Mr. E.B Sonaiya. He's going to do the review from the industry perspective. For example, what do the contents of this book hold for practitioners in the industry, particularly for egg, for meat, and for milk industry? So we welcome Mr. Bayo Omojola. So good afternoon, Mr. Omojola.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the audience, and let me join everyone to celebrate our revered professor, Professor E.B Sonaiya. My interaction with him has been left to conferences and such public fora, but I must confess that his simplicity and the way it takes the younger researchers on has been very, very encouraging to somebody like me. So I would like to see if I can share a little screen while I look at the review. Okay, not allowed. So let me just quickly go through what we have in terms of an industry perspective to this great work. It's quite a lot of work, and I would just run through, so pardon my speed if I have to speak a little bit faster than normal. And the first thing I want to talk about is the Prof didn't say it's a commercial venture per se, but basically in the industry, one of the things that is critical is what we call the look and feel, or the appearance of a product, or the appearance of a work like this. And I must say that it's so appealing, it's so inviting. The layout, the color scheme, and the clarity of the target audience made it very easy for me as a person to quickly go through. So that's a big plus, and it would attract the interest of a lot of people from outside of the world and also policy makers. And that immediately throws up the issue of the target audience. 4 groups, as far as I can tell, were clearly identified, talking about entrepreneurial scientists. And I remember that Prof mentioned this on Monday during the Craftsmanship Roundtable, that these researchers must become entrepreneurial. We also talked about the knowledgeable practitioners in the industry who can use science to make a difference. And then we talked about the policymakers and fund managers or financial partners. I choose to separate the two because what policymakers are looking for are quite different from what the financiers are looking for. But those are the 4 classes. And it's important for us to be able to target and interpret this work to those different classes. So I'll look at also these part of his introduction about the journey of the animal science graduates we have been producing. The first generation basically became civil servants and policy makers. And now we have people who are coming out of the industry, not getting civil service jobs as they used to. So they are becoming private employees. And some of them are what we call reluctant entrepreneurs who just say, look, I have some idea of business, I have some idea of agriculture, let me start something for myself. And that's not impossible to deal with, but we need to prepare them for that. So in my opinion, I was look at this book and say, a researcher, the lecturer, can take this book and prepare students to become entrepreneurs even before they graduate. And I know in some universities now we teach entrepreneurial studies, which hopefully is helping out. It's not my forte, but permit me to say that my experience is that those programs are put in the wrong hours of the day. They are usually taught in the evening and treated as appendages. I will look forward to a time where entrepreneurship becomes critical to university education. And in agriculture in particular, it must become a fundamental course. Because when people come to us in the industry, we see a clear lack of understanding of business. And we can do that from the university side if we take them on. Now, the book itself is in 3 different modules, module 1, 2, 3, and each module contains different number of units. I think module 1 contains 3 units, module 2, 5 units, and then module 3, 2 units. From an industry assessment, every unit has business opportunities. Every module has several opportunities. So I'm just going to take them on a unit by unit basis and run through some of the things that I have seen. Unit 1 talks about the animal products and the products, the API, the animal products industry. And critically, you will suddenly realize that the foundation of the API itself is the sustainable production of animals or animal products. So whether we're talking of eggs or meat or milk, or whatever it is we're talking about, the products of animals, first of all, we must be able to produce them in commercial quantities, large number, so that the industry will have sustainable, consistent supply. Like one of the researchers said in the presentation, industry needs assurance that raw materials will be available. And that's on the basis of which they build their investment and all the other product development. So from unit 1, you are confronted with the challenge of, hey, there is room for us to have a whole lot of business built on mass production of animal products. And so our graduates must come out with that understanding that they are not, as far as those who are going to the industry, they must be prepared to get into large scale or medium scale, but keep production going in a way that the industry can be serviced. So whether it's milk or egg, it's the same process. We need consistent production. In unit 2, we talk about the products of domesticated animals. And a very interesting introduction to that unit was the fact that cattle is the largest of these animals. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, cattle husbandry, cattle handling is all traditional, and we have not been able to put so much technology into it, which creates for itself a large room. What can we do to socialize our knowledge of cattle husbandry? There's so much depth of knowledge, there's so much research about cattle husbandry. What can we do? How can we socialize that knowledge such that we can begin to introduce science and technology into the production and rearing of cattle? And then we can feed it into the industry in a better way than what we currently do. So we talked about the meat part of it, the milk, hide and skin, the fifth quarter, as it's popularly called. And Prof also talked about the byproducts and co-products. These are all different avenues of business. So within that unit 2, again, you see opportunities. We're going to talk about each one of them as time will permit us. But I hope we can hear me, sir.
Yes, yes, we're hearing you.
We can hear you.
So very critical to this unit 2 and the products of domesticated animals is the opportunity we have that I can classify to 2 categories. The primary opportunity of, say, slaughtering, cutting into quarters, haulage, and storage. So we're talking of who controls abattoir, what type of abattoir, how do you cut your animals in a safe, hygienic way, how do you hold it, either for short storage or long storage, and how do you transport it? Transport through specialized vehicles, refrigerated vehicles, small size, medium size. And then the secondary processing of making different products, with sausage or milk or egg, whatever it is, so that we can easily identify areas of business in every domesticated animal we have. The author also mentioned what you can consider to be fringe animals like camels and donkeys. Quite some work has been done on these animals, especially in the Sahel region of Nigeria. And I believe there's opportunity there also because most of the time they are used as beasts of burdens. But I'm sure they produce milk. I'm sure their hides are very good. And sometimes they are used for meat, but not very popular, but they are edibles. But for me, as an industry practitioner, maybe the gold, the nugget of this unit is rabbit. It's an animal that doesn't seem to have any religious sentiment against it. It's an animal where the requirements to produce doesn't seem to be that complicated and not a lot of technology is required. And so I'm looking forward to researchers taking up this animal and let's do to it what we have done to poultry. Let's socialize it. Let's popularize the breeding, the husbandry, the processing. There are quite a few, products you can get out of rabbit. And of course, rabbit urine, rabbit feces are all useful in other parts of agriculture. So from an industry point of view, rabbits could be something that we need to look at from, as a benefit from our researchers and universities. And then in Unit 3, the author talked about or wrote about the market animal evaluation. Talking of animal judging, carcass grading, as simple as they look, in developed market, these are skills that you find in the market where you trade animals. People who can see an animal and tell you the parameters and characteristics of the animal, whether it's for breeding or it's for processing and what kind of processing. Again, like one of our presenters said earlier, the kind of products you pass to domestic users are not exactly the same you use for industrial users in developed climes. So the skill of evaluation, judging of animals and carcass grade is quite important. And we can build on it as we develop a more structured market for animal products. But also important to me as an industry player is the fact that even on our campuses, I'm not sure a lot of students have opportunity to practice this simple skill because maybe they don't have enough animals, maybe it's not focused on, maybe because there are no meat shops, and even somewhere there are meat shops, I'm not sure they're under the control of the animal scientists. But these are simple skills that students need to come out with from the universities so that when they come to the industry, they already come with something. There are basic tools that we try to teach, but if they come with it, it will be a whole lot better for us in the industry. And then the author went on to talk about the different markets for animal products, the general consumer market, the domestic market, hotel and restaurants and institutions, and then the processors. Each of these markets represent business opportunities because the top of it, where you deliver the highest quality will be to the hotels and in restaurants. And then you have the processors and then the domestic before the general consumer market. So as an industry player, you take this book and you look at all the opportunities that you have in the market and design your products and design your activities to meet these needs, basically using the science of animal products to deliver what the industry needs. And Unit 4 talked about animal slaughter and conversion of muscle meat. As I was reading this, I remember a lot of science that we learned in school about animals, and I was thinking to myself, wow, if only we knew when we were learning them what these things mean in the industry. And here the author talked about the slaughtering process, the conversion of muscle to meat. A few things about abattoir and slaughterhouses and slaughter slabs. Well, in the industry, most of the good abattoirs are publicly owned. But there are now private houses, private slaughterhouses, private slabs. And this represents opportunities for scientists that we can actually set up under good regulation. And thank God that the regulations coming from NIAS is supporting some of these, these activities, that you can have a well-regulated slaughterhouse that an animal scientist should be proud to run, and also then make it available for us to train our students so that when they come out, they already have an idea of what these opportunities and what they also can set up. And if we can establish well-managed abattoirs and slaughter slabs, I'm sure the quacks will soon get out of business because the market of today, people want hygienic products. So if we can show that the products, the animals are slaughtered in hygienic condition and they can see some of these activities, it's a lot of encouragement for people to get into that line of business. And then there's the writing on muscle biology. As scientific as it is, the author talked about the properties that are important to muscle or meat. The fact that the water holding capacity, the color, the tenderness, the flavor, all these can be impacted through the slaughtering process and the way the animals are handled. And so with the knowledge of this science, you build a business opportunity to say, how do I cut my meat? How do I tenderize it? How do I process it such that it remains succulent, it remains juicy, it remains appealing in color? And for those of us who manage retail and wholesale, these are very important qualities that meat should have. And understanding them and the factors that influences them makes it easier for a businessman to know exactly what to do. And so when you combine this with the skill of grading and the skill of animal judging, you find that a businessman will be very, how do you put it, will be quite pleased with any employee or anybody or himself if he can combine these skills. And then for what we call the ready meal market, when you go to supermarkets or malls, you find some meat products that all you need to do is just microwave it, just heat it up for good temperature, but it's been pre-prepared, ready to eat. These are knowledge that we use in preparing those kind of products. So you talk about marinated product or braised product or pre-cooked products, the knowledge of muscle biology and how the different either seasonings or spices or temperature impacts on these characteristics. They are very important in the business world in dealing with ready meals market and products. And then I'll take on Unit 5, where the author talked about meat processing, meat preservation, and meat storage. Basically, the greatest need in this category is hygiene, very high hygiene standard. And though I'm not sure if our curriculum now covers much of hygiene and environmental issues, but it's important that people come to the industry, have understanding of the requirements of safe and good products. So cleaning our premises, chemicals, equipment, tools, or waste management services become high and big business for those who are entrepreneurial, because there's no way you run a meat production business without high standard, and that means a lot of cleaning agents and understanding how you should do cleaning, and then of course how to manage your the waste you generate from that process. And then he also talked about the various preservation techniques for salting, curing, smoking. And I'm sure, Professor Ola reminded me that a few years back, I was speaking at one of our conferences at OAU, where I was talking about, the need that we had then when I was with UAC, the need we had for marinated chicken. Because despite that we had our own farms, but the need was so huge that there was nobody providing marinated chicken. So we had to do the marination ourselves. And so many other things that we had to do because nobody else is doing it. And that opportunity is still in the market. People can give you cured products or marinated products such that for you as a downstream operator, you just do a little and then your product is in the market. I was at a restaurant, it's actually an Indian restaurant, and they presented a goat meal. And I was thinking myself that how nice would it have been if we can produce goat in this fashion. So there are exotic opportunities also in the market, how people from other climes, the Lebanese, the Middle Eastern people, the Asian, so how they prepare their own product. These are things we can learn so our students or our graduates understand the business opportunities that exist in processing, of preservation and storage of animal products. And then he also talked about the traditional products that are common now, the suya, dambu nama, kilishi, tinko, and those type of things that are basically, dried products and processed with spices. Again, now if you go to airports in Nigeria, you find some of them pre-packed in microwavable packs, but I'm sure there are opportunities to do a bit more in those line of products. And if we can educate our products, our graduates in terms of business opportunity, branding, packaging, I'm sure there are things that can be done with those. Even as common as they are, you only need to differentiate your product, brand it, and then you begin to have good market share. When we talk of storage and preservation in meat products, I think one of the commonest means would be cold storage. But unfortunately, because of the energy situation in Nigeria, cold storage has remained a huge challenge. And until we solve the electricity problem, this may remain so, because, you know, of course, we understand to run a cold storage, you need 24-hour light. And without that, the cost of production makes it almost impossible for you to be profitable. But on the other hand, there's a huge opportunity in the breeding. And I think one of the last presenters, you know, is heavily into breeding. In breeding, we need cold storage. And I'm not sure there's any institute in Nigeria that has enough. I think maybe at the federal level, maybe. But if we can get breeders, commercial breeders, there's opportunity in breeding, and especially for dairy products, because the dairy business needs better breeding in Nigeria. So there's good opportunity for people in breeding if they can have, breeding storage for germplasm and doing AIs and embryo work. There's huge room for improvement, especially for dairy animals. And then he graciously talked about packaging. While packaging is not animal science, in the industry, it's important to understand packaging, so you know what kind of package to use for products. And I was quite intrigued to say Prof had a good grasp of the packaging industry, putting it so nicely that, you know, beyond vacuum packing and modified atmosphere packing, they talked about different laminates in a simple and brilliant way that an industry player will look at this book and say, this author knows what he's talking about. He's talking my language. And that's the kind of impression you get from reading those pages. And so thank you so much, sir. I think that was well put together and brilliantly done. And Unit 6 deals with milk, egg processing, and products. And I've just spoken about milk. We are a bit underserved with milk. And I think the big issue is because our animals are not as productive as we will need them to support commercial investment. So within our knowledge of milk, the biggest opportunities for now will remain what the likes of WAMCO and the promoters of cowbell milk are doing, and promoting milk collection centers, sending out technically skilled people to do extension services, educating the herders in terms of how to milk hygiene, utensil hygiene. Those are the kind of things that exist for now. But for me as an industry person, I look at the milk industry and say, the biggest enterprise there for now will be the breeding. Because if we get a breed, you know, their production high, then we can expand the milk business. For now, it's a little bit challenging for the industry. And of course, we saw the case of L&Z integrated farms. This is what people undergo in the industry. You don't find support from government, you don't find support from policymakers, and it just takes your doggedness to carry on. But it's a good lesson from what one can see from L&Z integrated farms.
Bayo.
Yes,
hello,
sir.
Bayo.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I know your review has been very exhaustive, and we all are benefiting, but we need to manage time.
Okay,
very
sir.
Respectfully, please.
Yeah, let me quickly run through. We can talk about egg processing and the great opportunity in dried egg powder. Again, there's a case study. Unit 7 talked about products of free living animals, honeybees, and again, another example of a player from Ibadan. And then Unit 8, we talked about inedible animal products, a lot of business in leather works, a lot of business in possibly bone and glue making from hooves and horns. And between unit 9 and 10, which form the third module, we're talking about legal stuff and trade. And I just want to say that based on industry need, I think the biggest opportunity to trade will be getting aggregation and getting organized market for life products, such that traceability becomes easy, like we have in this IT world now. So people they know what they are buying, and the industry can grow. So in conclusion, I would say that the author, our River professor, had said very clearly, this is an industry of over 4 trillion naira a year. And with that type of value in the industry, we have great opportunity to do much better than we have. So I just want to recommend to all of us, especially researchers, to look at these areas and see how we can help the industry. And in honor of our revered professor, Professor E.B Sonaiya, and the continued development of animal science in Nigeria, I warmly and proudly recommend this book to the 4 categories of audience targeted, and wish our prof a very happy and fruitful working retirement, since you are not finally retired, because we look forward to more from you, sir. So congratulations, and the Lord bless you. And thank you to the organizers for inviting me to be part of this. I've been tremendously blessed, and wish everyone a nice deliberation for the rest of the ceremony. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo Omojola. He's the MD, CEO of Bolly Consulting, Lagos. Mr. Omojola, please, in less than 30 seconds, tell us about the Bolly Consulting, please.
Okay, I floated the business when I retired from USC, because my background is animal science from UI. And I worked in the USC for some of us who have encountered us in those years. So after I left the business, after leaving employment, I started this operation. And what we do now is to run consulting and also run some farms. We are into delicate, or what you can call specialized products that we supply to industries. And we do a whole lot of work with entrepreneurs who are doing small scale and medium scale businesses in livestock processing, and sometimes in just general agriculture, because some people, my industry experience covers both production and processing. So I get to do work and service the industry in different areas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So again, we, on behalf of the department and the celebrants, we want to extend our gratitude to you. Very exhaustive from the industry perspective. So now we go to the second report. The order was random. So we have, incidentally, they share the same surname. Do you share the same pedigree? So Professor Omojola from the University of Ibadan, Department of Animal Science. It's your turn, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay, sir. I appreciate the organizer of this program for the honor done to me to be part of the reviewer team for this colossal work. My own job this evening is quite very simple, and to look at the book in the angle of the academia, but unfortunately, hello?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay, unfortunately, a person of my caliber, or who is also an industry person, although a silent industry person, the CEO of Tunic Foods Nigeria Limited, who also want to dwell a little into the industrial aspect of the book. Now, let me start from the title of the book. I have read so many books on animal products with different titles, but none, and I say none, has come with an enterprise as an action word in the title. And this clearly differentiates this book from others. And when we look at the objectives of the book, they are in three forms, which I could say that is the baseline for industrialization. Now, let's look at the author. I give kudos to the person that did the write-up on the summary about the author. Because Professor Sonaiya that I know, if you give me the opportunity to do a summary about him, I think I will write a textbook. So the book itself, when I went through it, one thing that kept coming to my mind is that the book is the summary of the author. Very simple to read, very clear without ambiguity, very straightforward, and very useful. It imparts knowledge, and that is what Sonaiya stands for, all this academic endeavor. Now, let's look at the content. Each module, because we have 3 modules altogether, each module aggregates together uniform topics, with each one flowing seamlessly into each other. This is one fact that I have seen in this book that makes the reading of the book so easy for me. I will confess to you that it took me less than 18 hours to finish the whole book, 203 pages, because this is a book you pick and you don't want to drop. The idea flows seamlessly. The simplicity of the book makes it easy to read. Now, let's look at the unit by unit assessment and review. Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay, sir. Under Unit 1, animal products and the animal product industry in Nigeria. The definition and classification of animal products and byproducts and co-products and their utilization was so good that even as a professor of animal science, I gained a lot from it. And then there was an x-ray on the industry. This one you will not find in any other textbook of animal products. Let's look at Unit 2, product of domesticated food animals. This unit is unique in approach and deliverables. The area of product development from each class of animal was quite enriching. The author did not leave the reader into wondering on how the products are developed. The author did not conceal any information from the readers. For example, where we are talking about suya production and kilishi production, the author went down to the parts and explained the nitty-gritty that even a novice can pick that as a trade. And I think it will be so useful to our graduates. Also, let's go to Unit 3, market animal evaluation. Let me confess, I have been teaching animal products for over 20 years. This unit really enriched my knowledge about market animal evaluation. The simplicity of the introduction and careful definition of terms are excellent. The literary arrangement of the subjects. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we heard
Yes,
you.
we're hearing you.
Okay. Let me come again. The simplicity of the introduction and the careful definition of terms, they are quite excellent. And when you look at the literary arrangements, of the subject matter in the unit, it makes reading extremely very easy. Like I told us, it took me less than 18 hours to finish the book because it was a book you pick that you don't want to drop. You want to see what is next. The way the author described growth and development was awesome. I really drives home a point about the book itself. It is a masterpiece for all ages, trades, and industries. It became so easy to understand and comprehend. Even for a higher school level, when they pick the book, it will make sense to them. Now let's look at animal slaughter and conversion of muscle to meat, Unit 4. The introduction of the unit was highly comprehensive. And then the step-by-step process involved as captured in the slaughter process. Who even want to make one decide to start a slaughtering business. The science and the art of the conversion of muscle to meat. Actually, we hear one would expect a lot of chemistry. But the author tried to use of chemicals and chemistry so that the readers can flow easily. I really commend the author for this. And then there's an aspect that I have read so many books on animal products that I've not found in anyone. And that is the reported interview with the group CEO of Best Food, Livestock and Poultry Limited. This interview was highly stimulating, highly encouraging, and I strongly believe that it will ginger many readers of the book into venturing into animal products industry. I do my heart for that. Now, Unit 5, where the author talked about meat processing, preservation, and storage. There is one unique thing about this aspect. The pictorial representation of meat spoilage made the understanding of the subject matter very easy. However, since you said I should talk about the book in the academic sense, I want us to look at the formula for sodium nitrate. There's an interchange there, which I want us to look into. Then Unit 6, where the author talked about milk and egg processing and products. Let me confirm. Major books that we read, and in most cases where animal products are taught in universities, hardly do they teach egg science or egg products as part of animal products. This one the author did, and it makes the book to stand out among the contemporaries. The milk product development as contained in this textbook processors should read. It is self-explanatory and could be employed for commercial purposes. Like I told us, although I was supposed to look at the book from the academic angle, but like I said, as the CEO of Tunic Foods Nigeria Limited, the producer of Tunic Yogurt, which is the perfect food for all ages, I have gained enormously from the content of this book. And even part of what I've gained in the book is changing the face of my factory.
You say money.
I don't mind. Unit 7, product of free living animals. This one is quite very interesting to me in the sense that when you pick a meat science book, they are only concerned with the food producing animals. Hardly will you see anyone talk about product of free living animals. And this one will even contribute a lot even to the GDP of the nation. This is the major turning point in the annals of animal products textbooks. This unit is noble as it is practically missing in other textbooks on animal products. The linkage with Unit 2, where products from domesticated animal were highlighted, made the comprehension very easy. I'll soon round up. Now, when we look at the Unit 7, talking about Unit 7, the aspects that talk about the honey and eating of insects, consumption of insects, is so unique, extremely very unique. Most of these things, you will hardly find them in textbooks. And then Unit 8, inedible animal byproducts. The author jokingly says something that hardly can you classify uppers as inedible in Nigeria because we eat virtually everything. Virtually everything. If the gut content could be consumed, Nigeria will consume it. Now, the unit emphasized the utilization of animal byproducts, although the author clearly stated that in Nigeria, it is very difficult to classify animal byproducts as inedible, since almost all the byproducts are consumed in Nigeria. The entrepreneurial skill in leather production was clearly spelled out. The unit also tried to showcase the potentials of harnessing the so-called, I said the so-called inedible byproducts. I believe if any of our students who is good enough to start a business after the school picks this book, it will be a masterpiece for such a student. Now, the economic and social value of distribution and sales of domesticated animals and their products. What makes these textbooks stand out is also contained in this unit, such as the technical and legal aspects of livestock distribution and sales. This is one aspect that is hidden, completely hidden from any other textbook. I'm on Unit 9. Also,
we need to save on time a bit.
Okay, sir. Now, let's look at the general comments and the uniqueness of the book. The uniqueness of the book is that there is a clear link between units. The book is unique in the introduction of each chapter. The pictorial explanation and representation of key issues makes the book to be unique. Reported interviews, then historical layout, scientific explanation, and down to art truths of each unit. The introduction of the local content makes the book to be very unique. And then the simplicity of grammar, the unambiguity of pictures, and then the self-explanation questions. And then freedom from major errors makes the book to be very unique. Then rating. If I had to rate this textbook compared to others that are afraid, I will give an excellent mark. Appreciation. I feel very highly honored to be chosen as a reviewer of this colossal book written by my teacher, mentor, academic role model, who I only met once at Kano, but who has played diverse roles in my academic progression, unknown to him. I've copied him, I've used him as role model, and I've prayed to God to be like him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Omojola. Department of Animal Science, University of Ibadan. Thank you very much. So the next phase is Dr. Dedere in the house. Hello. Okay. The next phase is book presentation. And we are so honored to have in our midst Dr. Zacchaeus Ogunkwuwashi. He is the librarian Obafemi Awolowo University. So librarian, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Good afternoon, sir. We are hearing you, sir. Hello, sir. It's network fluctuation.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we are hearing you, sir.
I've unmuted my.
So go ahead, sir.
Let me. Yeah. Hello?
Yes, sir. We are hearing
Hello?
you, sir.
We can hear
Can you
you.
hear me now? Can you
Yes,
hear
we
me
are
now?
hearing you.
Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Clearly.
Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I feel highly honored to be part of this occasion today. And it's a great pleasure to be asked to be part of this review, particularly a book that has been presented by an erudite professor, an excellent researcher. I met Professor Sonaiya in 2018 while he was leading a lecture for the principal officers, deans, and the directors of the university on research grants. That was the first time I saw him and I met him. I fell up in his presentation. In 2018 also, Professor Sonaiya approached me to help digitize some of his publications. He had a number of publications that are full publications that are not digitized. And I had to reach out to him to collect those publications for our digitation. In the university here, we have tried to develop what we call the student repository. The student repository is publication of all staff, professors of different faculties and departments, and our PhD students. They are digitized, and we house this in the student repository, which is linked to the university website. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing
Hello?
you, sir.
Can hear you, sir.
We are hearing you, sir.
So those materials were digitized. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Clearly.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yeah,
We can hear you clearly. We are hearing you clearly, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you very much. So for the publication that of Professor Sonaiya, the one he mentioned the other time, we are showing him that all those ones that have not been digitized will be digitized by the library, and they will be part of our student repository in this university. We have started on that and we will make it possible. On the book, Animal Prose Science and Enterprise, I see these publications as a textbook in that for every module, there are exercises for the both students and lecturers. Whoever is interested there, this textbook is a teaching textbook that you can use to teach one module from one module to the other. Then there are questions and answer questions there as practical exercises. This book is also a manual. A manual is a book that you can use to have a skill in a area. For each of the module skill set that you can use as an entrepreneur that you want to learn about how to process animal products for commercial reasons. This book is also a treatise A treatise is a comprehensive write-up about a subject which is in-depth, that anybody who is not even familiar in agriculture, in any field of study, if you pick it, you'll be able to learn, understand the book and all that have been said there. So this book is not only for agricultural students, it's for everybody. Those who have just an interest in agriculture, in animal animal production, they can take this book, use it. Regarding the quality of the book, it's an excellent print. You can find out that the color contrast, that the font of the print is excellent. The color presentation is also excellent. You can see the color contrast of the different modules. Green interface is black, and for every module. For each of the modules, the illustrations, color illustration, the products, and the highlights for each chapter. You see the highlight, the first unit, how it is highlighted. For anybody who wants to learn anything, read, you can go to any of those points to read about and to learn. So to me, Professor Sonaiya has done a lot that is worthy of emulation in Faculty of Agriculture. Particularly, if we see the role of agriculture in OAU. Agriculture is the first faculty of that university. And I want to say that we should value those who have contributed to the high level of Faculty of Agriculture in OAU by preserving the legacy of these people. Not allow them to go like that and go away. I know when I was sitting here of one professor Anuga of agriculture, there was time there's some life about him. We look for anything in this house we didn't feel. We will not allow this one to be like that. So in order to preserve and to mitigate against source, the library has set up a unit called the AU Publications, which does not only house scholarly materials, but houses all things, publications related to a professor in this university, faculty levels and department seminars are also stood in this unit. We will digitize them and create indexes for those materials. Anybody who wants to share, we get them. Then we want to digitize them statically on the university institutional repository, so that those what we call great ratio, mentioned about issue that anything application may not be in the scholarly literature, if it's a great literature that any may lay hand on. Such materials needed to be preserved for our academic research. So, I think so to just thank you for allowing to say a post about so Sonaiya. It's a great scholar, it's a real researcher who has mentored many people, not only in the academic, but in the moral and the example of who is disciplined, who is first committed to the goal of this university. I wish him a very healthy environment that by the time he leaves university, we should still be to use him for the progress of the university. I want to thank you for allowing me to talk this. I hope that Faculty of Agriculture continue to grow, continue to multiply and push and make research. Thank you much.
Thank you very much, sir. So very grateful. As the librarian, as one of the principal officers. So we are so grateful for your time and the very detailed comments about the book. This also extends to the reviewers. But your work is not complete yet, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So we need a formal presentation of the book, sir. formal presentation of the book, sir. Are you hearing me, sir?
Formal presentation of the book.
He's muted.
Oh, unmute him, Tosin. So, librarian, sir.
You are muted, yeah.
Tosin, unmute him. Are you hearing me, sir? Hello, sir.
Why don't you chat him, sir? Prof.
Okay, yes, okay.
You can chat him now. Private chatting.
Okay. So we say so presented. After he did a very detailed.
Hello.
Yes. Are you hearing, sir? Hello, sir. Okay.
Prof.
Well, yes, sir.
Why don't you private chat the librarian?
No, not many people read those comments. It's not. It's not automatic. Okay, we can go ahead now. A quick contribution while appreciating all the reviewers, including the presentation by the university librarian, Dr. Zacchaeus Oguntuwash. Now, I was just wondering, is the celebrant an archivist? I was going to ask how many pictures and pictorials are in that book, and the enormity of time and effort to compile the pictures.
Exactly.
So, Prof must be an archivist as part of his qualifications. So, what is next now is we have. So, we are going to have, before we call on the HOD, we just want a contribution from the celebrant. But before then, Tosin, please flash the link to the book on the website of FARA. Okay, so the book is available according to the author. Is already domiciled in the library of, that is the e-library of FARA. That's the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa. And we have the executive director, Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo, in the audience. We are so honored by your presence, sir. So the book is available under this URL as projected, and as part of the availability of the book. Then we have so many eminent personalities who joined us. This Professor Tijani, head of Department of Agri-Econs in the house. Professor Tijani, okay. We have Professor Faz Dairo from Ekiti State University. We have Abdul Hadi Kobiowu, transmitting from Japan, I think. We have Dr. Tori Miro, who is featuring in the afternoon session. We have Doyin Adegoroye. We have, as mentioned before, Dr. Falo Guy of FAO, Dr. Laja Adeshina. We have Fikayo Fix, the Global Fix. We have Aladu, my colleague, Professor Ola. We have JOS Adeyeye. We have Opeyemi Ogunkoya. So many, of course. We have the librarian, as mentioned, Professor Jebi again, Professor Deyinka, Oshifeko, Samuel Temitope from Germany. We have the 2 Victors and 1 Victoria. We have Dr. Victor Olori. We have Aburu Victor Rixley from Washington State. We have Victoria Tanimonure, Doctor, Agrika Cons. We have Ibitoye, Shorunke Adikunle, Professor Mitogun, Professor Desainwa, and so many eminent personalities. We appreciate all of you. You honored us. You honor our academic father. God will continuously honor all of you. So this is part of the drawing the curtains now. I hope nothing very critical has been omitted. We have my committee members. We have Dr. Dedire. Are you in the house? Dr. Adeyemi. I have Dr. Rishasana. And of course, the HOD who gave us this assignment. So while rounding up, we want to call on the celebrant to determine if this is up to his expectation, or we convoke another one-week program. So, Prof, sir.
Thank you, Prof. This surpasses every expectation that I had. It has been incredible. This particular afternoon, with the quality of the presentation, capped by Dr. Victor Olori's tomb, which has been accepted for the next World Congress of Genetics Applied to Livestock. And the fantastic review by the Omojolas, Mr. and Professor. This is incredible. I am overwhelmed. And I just want to thank you all for doing me this honor. And I pray that you would also get such honor done to you. Thank you very much. I'm speechless now.
Thank you very much, sir. Some housekeeping and up-to-date information. Tomorrow is also loaded. So we have for those who are within the OAU community or Ile-Ife, if movements allow, we have the Thanksgiving service in honor of Baba Professor Sonaiya. We also have the valedictory lecture for 12 noon. Okay, and then we have options for live transmission and for Zooming. So we can avail ourselves of all these opportunities. But for those who are within OAU and Ile-Ife, kindly join us at Oduduwa Hall. And to be a very unique valedictory lecture, there will be opportunity for contributions and questions.
I'll just give it 2 minutes.
After the valedictory lecture. So from the LOC, before we call on the Dean to make a very quick contribution and for the HOD to appreciate all of us. So the Dean, sir.
Hello, sir.
Dean of Agric.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I want to appreciate everybody for all that we have been doing. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I want to, I'm just trying to start my video. Yeah, I want to appreciate everybody that has contributed. I was so excited to see my very, very good friend, childhood friend, Professor Kola Kwajuwon presenting. I followed through his presentation. I followed through Dr. Olori. I also benefited from what the reviewers did. Very excellent. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just learning trying to get better. And I must say that this week-long activity is like writing a thesis in nematology. I mean, it has been really, really engaging. It has taught us so much, and I'm just learning and seeing what I can pick to make the faculty better. I think in a nutshell, it's been a week of great challenge for those of us who are hoping to retire in the future, that we have to do something very tangible. We have to make huge impact as far as much as God will enable us, so that at the end of the day, we may have some stories to tell and we may have some legacies to put behind. My friend, Professor Hussein, you have done a very good job, and I'm so proud of you that you are a member of my faculty. I want to encourage you to keep up the good work. So for everybody who has participated tirelessly since we started the roundtable grantsmanship on Monday, I want to say thank you, well done. By the grace of God, tomorrow we will cap it up. So I'm so appreciative of all of us, and I pray that the Lord will continue to strengthen us. Thank you very much, Professor Hussein. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, my dean. So the head of Department of Animal Sciences, who gave us this assignment? So Professor Iu Akinfala. Professor Yu. Okay. Is the Vice Dean in the audience? Vice Dean? Any other head of department? Professor Tijani? Okay. So I have to volunteer to do this now. Again, with a heart full of appreciation. We want to thank everybody, all the inputs from all the scientific presentations, through the book presentation, through the reviews, through the presence of one of the principal officers of the university, and all our professional friends. I have not seen Professor Dairo for 15 months now, and here he is virtually. We want to thank all our old friends, the presenters in particular, and the reviewers, and my colleagues, OAU, IFE, the other departments, several HODs, Dr. Mrs. Adeson, who was in the audience, Professor Tijani, and the HOD of Agriculture too. And then we have people who honor us from long distance. Victor Rixley from Washington, and of course, and then Victor Lori is a co-organizer. He's not a participant. He's a co-organizer of this event. So we just want to extend our appreciation to you. Kindly connect with us the valedictory tomorrow through the multiple avenues presented. So God bless all of us. My dean, my HOD, the faculty, God bless us too.
Thank
so
you.
have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
To that book.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello, sir.
Professor Seni.
Congratulations.